We've got a new report that maybe he could join the Warriors, who would dangle a max contract in front of him, bring him to Northern California. Here's Paul George's stats this year. Career highs in field goal percentage, three-point percentage, and free throws. 91%, pretty good. His podcast, honestly, not bad.
Agreed.
Not bad. Solidly not bad, if you're currently in the NBA, is a high bar. Your reaction to Paul George to the Warriors?
Brew, I totally support this for the Warriors. Not because I think it necessarily makes them championship contenders even, but because I just believe if you have one of the greatest players ever and he is still performing at an elite level, even if it's not his apex, you owe it to him to always be all in. That's how I've always felt about LeBron every step of the way, and I feel the same way about Steph. As long as Steph is still an all-NBA level guy, you should constantly be going for it. You owe it to him, and Steph in particular, because he has been the consummate team guy. He's set aside his own numbers and shoe deal to bring in Durant, has always done everything right, has been the team's damn chaplain essentially dealing with the Draymond stuff, and he wants to win. And so I think you would have a better chance, even if I still would probably be like, yeah, you're probably going to lose in round one. But better chance. I don't care about Joe Lacob paying a luxury tax bill. No. It's not my problem. So I'm all for it, Brew. If they were to do it, I think they owe it to Steph. I don't know if they will, but I would support it.
No, I love it. I love it for Paul George. I don't think he seems lukewarm about going to Philly. He just doesn't. Now they appear to be lukewarm on him.
Yeah.
So, and you, look, Chris Paul and Andrew Wiggins work. Now, obviously, Paul probably is just, they might get rid of him, but it's just to get the money to make the trade work. The Clippers, because I'm trying to look at it from both sides, are they that much worse with Andrew Wiggins than Paul George?
Yes.
Paul George is much better. But how far are they going as they are now with George?
Don't you think
and you
they
don't have to pay him nearly as much
in this deal? I would think
that would be a lot to give up. Because I think the Warriors, like you said, even with Paul George and Kuminga, they're not like the favorite in the West. I'd like to keep Kuminga if I could. George is like a way better version of Andrew Wiggins. And when Wiggins played really well, they won the championship.
Right.
So I would love this for them. I'd even love it if, Clay would probably be so upset that he wouldn't want to come back. But if you could keep Clay with him, because that gives you some shooting, Clay moves down.
Is that feasible?
They could do it if they wanted, but I don't think Clay's attitude, because they can go over the cap.
Right, they can go over the cap to keep Clay, and they'd be trading for Paul George. So it is technically feasible.
But I don't know if Clay, because they're prioritizing Paul George ahead of Clay, and Clay's probably not.
Yeah, I think yes, it's feasible. No, it's not a realistic outcome, if that makes sense. Like cap-wise, they could make it work, but this does seem to be somewhat in conflict with Lacob on the record quote of saying our number one goal is to get under the tax line, much less this first or second apron. But I think that if I'm going to keep making this point because I just believe it to be true, and it's not stirring stuff, it's just being honest. The Warriors must do everything they can to stave off Steph Curry feeling like I have to make a decision between being a Warrior for life and competing. And if you don't get Paul George and Klay Thompson leaves and it's Steph and Draymond and whatever you get from Wiggins and the slow growth of the young guys, then Steph is going to realize I have to make that decision. And maybe it's an easy decision. I just want to be a Warrior for life. Yeah. But the ideal is that you are close enough that Steph feels like I have both.
Yep.
I'm a Warrior for life, and I'm still competing. And I'm still at least, tangentially in the conversation. If they went out and got Paul George, he would definitively feel that way. Even if we wouldn't pick him, he would be like, oh, yeah, we can do this.
Yeah, get me the playoffs.
Get me the playoffs and see what I do. So I just think that's smart. I think that's how teams should operate. Again, not a lot of teams are in this situation. It's like, oh, we have one of the 15 greatest players ever as a homegrown guy. Let's go ahead and try to do what we can to stay
And the Lakers are, close enough with Anthony Davis where LeBron can feel like we got
a shot.
Legitimate chance. We haven't just, given up.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Bud list coming up next. What if Steph says, you know what? do right by Clay. Give him what he wants, even though it's not best for the team per se.
Well, then you do it. You, and not getting overexcited about your chances of competing this coming year for anything substantial. And now the Spurs have Atlanta's 25 and 27 first-round pick and a swap with them in 26, Chicago's 2025 pick, Minnesota's 30-31 first-round unprotected, which who knows, you know what I mean?
Unprotected.
Unprotected. They get to swap with Minnesota in 30 and unprotected in 30-31, or 30-31, in 2031, pardon me. And so in a year when De'Aaron Fox is looking around, like, or Donovan Mitchell has signed his extension and it's like, I signed the extension, but I want to be traded. Or in 2 years when Devin Booker or Ja or Halliburton, because here's the thing about NBA stars, somebody's unhappy every summer. Mm-hmm. And if you're the team with Wemby and you have a real war chest of picks, you'll get one of them. So I think that not trying to go, when New Orleans had Anthony Davis, they went the other way. They were like, oh, he's so good right now, we'll trade our picks to bring in Drew Holiday because we want to win this very moment. We want to do it right now. Be smart about it. You know what I mean? Like, be like, we are not realistically, I know people are crazy high on Wemby. You're not competing for a championship this coming season or next year. So if you build it to where when Wemby really is ready to be an MVP, that you have another great player alongside him and you're developing Castle, that to me is smart rather than just have a bunch of young guys.
Well, what it also does is tell you how to build around Wemby, because he's such a unique player that does so many things that you don't just bring in a star. I mean, maybe Donovan Mitchell would work. I'm not sure yet.
But you got to watch.
But you want to watch him for like I expect him to come back next year really on fire. I would imagine he's going to bulk up, put a little muscle on. He's going to have even more confidence because of the way he played last year. So this year will be huge for him, and you can kind of watch how Castle plays with him, because your whole goal is who plays well with him and what type of players do we want to surround him with to win championships. So it buys you some time with that.
You can flirt with the play-in at least?
This year, no. The West is too hard. Flirt with the play-in?
Yeah,
do you
be
want
like
them
the
to
Rockets.
be 500?
Just be like the Rockets.
The Rockets took 3 years of tanking to be like the Rockets.
But now they're flirting with
stuff. It's just being honest. The Warriors must do everything they can to stave off Steph Curry feeling like, I have to make a decision between being a Warrior for life and competing. And if you don't get Paul George and Klay Thompson leaves and it's Steph and Draymond and whatever you get from Wiggins and the slow growth of the young guys, then Steph is going to realize I have to make that decision. And maybe it's an easy decision. I just want to be a Warrior for life. Yeah. But the ideal is that you are close enough that Steph feels like I have both.
Yep.
I'm a Warrior for life, and I'm still competing. And I'm still at least, tangentially in the conversation. If they went out and got Paul George, he would definitively feel that way. Even if we wouldn't pick him, he would be like, oh, yeah. We can do this.
Yeah, get me the playoffs.
Get me the playoffs and see what I do. So I just think that's smart. I think that's how teams should operate. Again, not a lot of teams are in this situation. It's like, oh, do we